showtime. Dynamite Download. Welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling.
This is what pro wrestling feel like.
I told you guys, positive energy. I think that created a little moment in itself.
You're saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
Super kick, hot time!
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
That punk, that long-haired hippie freak.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
That you need to be careful in the locker room.
I definitely think that women's wrestling has been elevated.
And with the loss of Brody, I feel like we were just kind of a little bit directionless.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
Raw horse.
Raw horse?
Oh my god!
Amazing.
I had to smack him around a few times to fully gain his respect.
You said that in front of the voice of a generation?
Versus Frankie's match.
Awesome.
This podcast is, quite frankly, the drizzling shit, if I'm being quite honest.
The day spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Ow! The elite. The elite.
Oh man, one of my favorite moments of the night for sure last night was that. And last night's show, I didn't watch it live because I had some plans last night, but I watched it all today and I was like, man, this is a killer show. It was top to bottom with so many different feuds, so many layers, so many great matches. Started off awesome, ended awesome. Man, what a complete awesome way to start off 2026 with the first Dynamite of the year. Really great stuff. And, you know, we didn't have any skin in the game because our draft's this tomorrow. But it is still fun when like, oh, wait, they were on my team. They were on my team. You know, I could have got a point for that. But, man, how did you like last night's show overall?
Oh, I loved it. I freaking loved it. And it was like everything that's great that I love about AEW was in one way or another showcase. I mean, it wasn't the best Dynamite episode ever now, but what I love about it is kind of what you hinted at just now is it's, and what we kind of talked about at the recap show, it's starting off 2026 on such a good footing.
Yeah.
There were returns, reunions. There was a lot of storytelling that got on that went on last night. Some interesting things that we'll talk about, we'll get into, because I have some theories on what there were some directions they might be taking some of our most talked about characters.
Okay,
like,
I'm all ears for that.
A lot of storylines, a lot of establishment here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I thought from start to finish it was great. I thought it was hilarious that Sammy Guevara bled more than Moxley last night. But
yeah, that's kind of
all, from start to finish, it felt fantastic. It felt like, I mean, granted, still some of our favorites aren't back. You know, I do feel like, imagine how even better Dynamite is going to be when Ospreay returns, when Kenny returns next week. You know, there's so much more. Did you just do a Hechicero? Did Hechicero just mess with your microphone?
I know. I was trying to do the Ospreay, but then I knocked my microphone, and I was trying to Hechicero catch it. I was trying to 6-7 catch it.
Anyways, I thought it was fantastic. We're gonna get into it, but man, I am it dispelled any doubts. Of course, I'm cautiously optimistic, but it dispelled any doubts that I had that we're gonna have an awesome AEW year, at least in the first half of 2026.
I really hope this is kind of like turning the leaf of bringing back the nostalgic of the early days. And so, you know, Cutler said this is the first time in 4 years his wife made them new tassel gear. So seeing the Bucks in their kind of OG form, I was like, oh man, this is so great. I mean, we'll dive a little deeper into that a little bit later, but also someone pointed out, you know, all four pillars were featured on the show last night, which is very nostalgic. And then Kenny Omega saying, you know, last week he's going to want to be wrestling more. You're going to see more of him. And I'm like, okay, this is starting to feel kind of like, you know, the core AEW, but it would be a perfect wink inner circle if the Swerve and Jericho came back and stayed with AEW and brought out the old Judas theme. I would love that as a Jericho fan. And then you're having a lot of your founding fathers, your OGs back, and then who knows what can happen with the others of our favorites that are missing. But AEW is in such a great spot right now. This is the first show of 2021 or 2026.
Yeah,
going back in time, and it just feels like they're already on such a big roll. Coming off an awesome pay-per-view, which you were there, an awesome tournament, and last week's show with the title change of the women's division, man, it's heating up.
It's really heating up, and I love. And there's a lot of stuff to love. There's a lot of stuff to love. A lot of stuff to look forward to. I have to, of course, rein in the overbooking because I was there like last night. We're making a joke. We're like, Jericho's going to show up tonight. Where's Jericho? How would Jericho show up? Jericho's going to show up. And then when Andrade showed up, we're like, what it would be funny as hell is if he was dressed as Andrade with Andrade's mask, but it was Jericho behind him.
It would have been the first time, he did that old Penta Swerve. So
yeah.
Anyways, that would have been pretty wild if that happened.
I thought that would be hilarious. And then of course when Mercedes Moné came out in her morning outfit, we thought, what if it was Jericho instead? No, but anyways, great stuff, like you said. In the chat, of course, a little whoop whoop to El Juggalo in the welcome straight from the gathering apparently. But cry foul again. I think kudos to New Japan Wrestle Kingdom. Awesome show. That was fantastic.
My buddy was there live, and you sent me some photos there, and you just could not say enough highly praising stuff from that show and how well it was put together, how amazing the tribute was.
The tribute,
and
yes.
Going around the whole arena in a gold, chalice or chariot, and just it was pretty special, man. And we saw someone who's been MIA for a long time, Jay White. A lot of speculation with that. Obviously, Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Ibushi, man, he's walking. Pretty insane that he's able to walk right now after a broken femur. But man, let's dive into last night's show, kicking things off with team MVP Moxley defending his Continental Championship, the fighting champion, which he for so long was crying out to AEW locker room saying, I want the wrestlers, and him getting that belt and winning the tournament. And then the what does they call him? Something excellence, Shelton Benjamin.
The standard of excellence.
The standard of excellence, going toe-to-toe with this one. Yeah, and I agree with Steven in the chat. It did start off a little bit slow pacing, but that's not out of the norm for a Moxley match and a Benjamin match. But yeah, it picked up halfway through and then near the end, and I was shocked that it almost did go through the time limit. Yeah. And even though Moxley picked up the W, I don't think this is a notch on anything with Benjamin. I do like MVP on commentary as well. And this, him featured more and more Benjamin on TV, because even if Bobby Lashley's hurt, you got to keep pushing it. And a gentleman's handshake at the end as well, which was very nice too. So I like the way this started the show. And I think Moxley is going to start to be more and more, or getting more and more over with the crowd. And it's a great way for him to start the show. And it's kind of so interesting. You have the same intro with Death Riders, and you have Moxley come out, crowd going wild, and then you have it come out again for Marina, and everyone's booing and crapping. So it's so crazy.
Everybody waits.
That group.
They hear the first part of the wah, 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 and then they wait to see what's the next song. If it's Moxley's theme, they cheer. If it's Pac's theme, they cheer. If it's Wheeler, Yuta, or Marina Shafir's, boo.
Right.
It's great. I do want to talk about that dynamic more so when we get to the Tony Storm, Marina Shafir stuff.
Yeah.
But I gotta just say, this was a dream match that, when they announced it, I was just like, Steven, I don't think there was ever a Moxley versus Shelton Benjamin. I don't even think there was a Dean Ambrose versus Shelton match in WWE.
One-on-one?
I don't think there was a one-on-one match with the two of them. I don't know. I wasn't into WWE before. AEW brought me back as a wrestling fan, so I don't know if there was that dynamic, but I was really looking forward to this, both, and especially where these guys are in their career right now.
Right.
They put on a fantastic match. I was like, they're going to go to a freaking draw. I can't believe this. A draw.
And it would be fine with that.
I would have, except I was like, his defense right after winning, I'm kind of like, whatever. But again, I'm by nothing against Bobby Lashley because I love the dude, but to me, Shelton is my bias on the Hurt Syndicate. He's my favorite, and he delivered. It took a little bit of time to warm up, but when it did, they were cooking. It was fantastic, great, and I love Moxley. I don't want to say it's like Moxley's putting him over, but Moxley allowed Shelton to be Shelton, to showcase himself. And like you said, I don't think Shelton lost anything in this match. If anything, he was highlighted. Also, this handshake, again, we've got this baby face leader of a heel faction, which is
working.
I like it, and it works. And we organically cheer for Moxley. I told you my mom went to her first wrestling match with Deb and I, and she's still kind of learning the name. She's not, she likes the flippy do guys, but she was so solidly behind John Moxley, and she hadn't even watched a single match of his before. She didn't even know who he was. Wow. But by the end of World's End, she was happy Moxley won. More so, I think she was up. She didn't like Okada, they've clearly made Moxley established him as a baby face now, and it really kind of makes up for any negatives that we may have had about the Death Riders when they started. It's really working. The handshake was great, and they're probably setting up Moxley, the Death Riders turning on Moxley, and I can see that happening. But kudos to both these gents that came to work. Definitely a candidate for match of the night. There might be one other though we can talk about, but definitely a candidate for match of the night, and it was exactly what I was expecting at the latter half.
Next match of the night, or matches. I mean, this is like I said, the card was so strong last night, and you have getting almost a Ring of Honor world title rematch, but it was like the last man standing, so Sammy never got his one-on-one, and Tony and Marina. I guess we'll talk about, what do we got pictures first? Bandito? Yeah. Bandito one. Let's talk about Bandito and Sammy. And, Sammy was very emotional going into this, very emotional after this match. Did a lot of stuff on social, a lot of tweets and everything. And I've said this time and time again, anytime, and I'll be a broken record, and it doesn't change. Anytime Sammy Guevara is on TV or at a show, he's worth the price of admission, because this guy leaves it all in the squared circle. This guy has got so much passion, and it bleeds through in all of his matches, whether literally face or heel. Yeah, literally, baby face or heel. You just got to root for this guy, because he gives it all every single night, and he continues to wow you with all of his move sets that he does. He's just so incredible. I mean, we've seen him live a couple times, and it's just, man, it's so fun, and it's such a different level live too. And it's the reason why you go to live events for wrestlers like that, because they're loving it. And that you could say the exact same thing about Bandito. This guy exudes passion and charisma, and he is at the pinnacle almost of his career right now, riding high at the top. The ROH world champion, has a AEW world championship title match next week. He came off one of his best years in being the tag team champs in AEW unexpectedly, which turned out to be a fantastic. So these guys, chemistry was there. The back and forth was awesome. I loved what they were doing in the ring. Yeah. And
this was great.
And if you don't like a Bandito match, this is all I got to say.
Yeah, if you're a Bandito hater, you get the John Cruz treatment. I gotta say, dude, like I said, the first match of the night, Mox versus Shelton, was a candidate for match of the night, but then Bandito versus Sammy happened. We're establishing for Bandito now tangling with two of the pillars. Now you just finished with Sammy, and just to kind of piggyback on what Courtney and a lot of folks are saying about Sammy. Whatever the behind the scenes is, and I'm sure it's somewhat related to what happened with the whole Mercedes thing way back in the past, and maybe it's some of the stuff from behind the scenes with him and some of the other backstage people. Whatever it is, Sammy has kept such a great attitude, and I think he's getting, he's starting to get it back on Dynamite more, and it's unfortunate that Roosh had to get injured, and there's a lot of stuff there, but he continues to make lemonade out of every situation.
Yeah.
And, I do like him as a heel, even though I think he is a great guy. I do kind of like his shitty mustache. I mean, it's kind of
Burt pencil stash.
Yeah. He does play kind of a great heel, and he doesn't take himself too seriously, but he's such a phenom. And I remember when at the peak of when people were booing him, I distinctly remember he was wrestling Bryan Danielson, and Bryan Danielson came to the ring expecting Norfolk to cheer for him. And there were some cheers, but we had a whole section that we were in that was clearly the Sammy section, and we were loud. And like everybody from that little Adriana that was cutting promos on Nyla Rose on TikTok. I don't know if you've seen her. She was there. Full Tilt Dev and I were there. We're all screaming for Sammy. We were actually booing Danielson to the point where Danielson was looking at us like, "What? Boo me?" But it was great because Sammy shuts the haters up. When he comes, even he'll take the boos. He's almost like T'Challa from Black Panther. He'll take all that hit and he'll use that energy to do some crazy, crazy stuff, and he did. Bandito, on the other hand, I didn't think I would say this a year ago. He's a future AEW World Champion. He will get that belt. It may not be in 2026. It's probably definitely not going to be next week. It's not going to be next week. Yeah. However, that looks pretty good.
Damn, right, yeah, that looks great on him.
That looks pretty good. It's not going to be in the early part of 2026. It might not even be this year, but in the next couple of years, we're going to see this. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's so great that we're talking about so many different people that are in line or could be in line for future world champs. And it's not just the top guys. It's not just the Moxleys and the Swerves and the Hangmans. You got you throwing in, a Bandito, a Hobbs, and you could even, Sammy's got his goal on that Darby and, Will Ospreay. So it's like the pool is deep for future world champs. And that's a good thing to have, a good problem to have, and a good depth of the roster. Yeah. And like I said earlier on the top of the show, AEW is in such a good spot where they're at right now. And that's even without the likes of, like you mentioned, are some of our favorites too. So really great stuff from this match, and the promo and the feud, or the promo afterwards. And then, Bandito giving the hand to MJF's translator.
I loved
him, Bandito. Bitch, yeah, you son of a bitch. That was a great moment, and Bandito getting his ring back. And so I know we talked about this whole ring for belt type of thing. So I don't know, Bandito's using it. You see it right there on his hand. So it's going to be an awesome match. And I think that's one of those, like you've mentioned before, there's some backstage stuff where MJF is not as bad as he seems. And I feel like this is one of those things where, he wanted to elevate Briscoe last year. And now I think he wants to elevate Bandito, even though he was, dragging him over the coals. I'm going to put a good word into TK. You're got a lot of potential.
You're quite, yeah. You got a potential there, kid.
Yeah, right. When he's already the world champion, Ring of Honor, and up there. So I think he's giving them that rub of the MJF rub, and not that necessarily Bandito needs it, but MJF's your champ right now. And so for him,
Full Tilt Deb, you know what? I hear you. It's a compliment though. Just like he thinks that Dynamite downloads the drizzling shits.
Brought to you by.
Oh, yeah, brought to you by the That of course that was the other thing about my mom's first reaction, talking about here's the perspective of a septuagenarian who doesn't know anybody, just her initial reactions. She was mad that MJF won the title. Swerve should have got that belt. He was the best in that match. And I don't like this guy. She's not happy with that guy. So meanwhile, I'm proudly wearing the Burberry because that dude was so phenomenal. Match was great. MJF continues. That was such the right move to put the belt on him. He's doing fantastic. And so many, like he's got Kenny, Swerve, Hanger, all these people, everybody's after him. I love it. It's fantastic. And yeah, I can't wait for next week. And then everybody's favorite, let's just be honest, from Studio 7, Warner Brothers, Studio 69, Timeless Tony Storm. And this is what was interesting too, because we're going back to the Death Riders. There is that now that when that, how like with Stone Cold and the glass shatters, or when you hear The Rock, If You Smell, heck, even the John Cena intro that apple juice or whatever, they have a lot of that with the Death Riders. That wah wah wah. You wait until you hear the neck. You wait through that, and then you wait and see, is this Moxley's theme? Depending on whose theme it is, then you cheer or you boo. Marina Shafir, we've said it here, putting her with the Death Riders, putting her with essentially the new Blackpool Combat Club, because we were seeing BCC.
Right.
This has been such a great move for her. And it is really, she is perfect. She is exactly where she needs to be. And I felt like the match was fantastic. Of course, Tony Storm, phenomenal. I mean, Marina Shafir dominated. I thought it was hilarious. By the way, we didn't even mention the return of JR. That was another return. JR back in comedy. I do think JR was struggling a little bit, but he just got back. He's going to get his feet back in there.
I mean, 2 hours nonstop of talking when it's like, you're coming back from being sick and, making your way down. They did it. That was nice that they put that on TV, his welcome back, he rightfully so. But, this is for FTD. Do you think they're going to rotate JR and Danielson, or is it JR's back?
I don't know.
Danielson wasn't there.
Yeah. I got to say something, though.
I prefer Danielson over JR at this point of his career.
Getting back to this match, though, and why I brought up JR. JR's reaction to finding out that Marina Shafir's finisher is Mother's Milk. You got to go back and listen to his, Mother's Milk. What a name! He's just really kind of you can tell it kind of took him off guard a little bit, but I thought that was fantastic. The aftermath, of course, Timeless Tony Storm, and I do think. I don't like when and WWE used to overdo the disqualification ending.
Oh,
like they used to all the time. Now, I don't like when they overuse it, but when it's used properly or when it's used in the right way, I think it's fine. And I think this was done very well, because if you look at this photo, who do you think won the match? Just by looking at this photo, who you would think Marina Shafir won, but she lost. Because of the Death Riders shenanigans,
right?
And I think there's some story there. There's some brewing, and what was interesting is Orange Cassidy comes out. You got Roderick Strong coming out. The whole thing with Mina. I think they're not sure where they're going to go. If they're going to, some people are saying, Simon Miller saying, are we going to get a Mina versus Orange Cassidy match for which would be interesting.
Fight over Tony.
What I thought was the most interesting of this match was who showed up from Death Riders and who didn't. All the Death Riders were in the building, but not all the Death Riders showed up. And who was Daddy Death Rider? Who was Daddy that came to the ring? It wasn't Moxley.
Right.
It was Claudio. What I think is brewing is they're doing this on purpose. They're showing us the heel Death Riders all as one collective unit, but we also have Pac and Moxley who are getting positives. They're actually getting a positive review, a positive bump. They're being showcased separately. And I mean, granted, they still have the same intro where they let go, you can do this, but I have a feeling this is on purpose. We're seeing Moxley in a face state situation. One could argue Pac was kind of a baby face. He was the one being jumped by Darby, so that's, you could argue something there. So I think what's going on here is you've got the setting up for dissension in the Death Riders. And I think Daddy Claudio is going to take over the heel Death Riders, whatever the form they end up taking.
It's very interesting. Well, first and foremost, this match, Marina is growing every single time in the ring, over and over and over and she's being presented so amazing as well. And she's doing, I liked how and I think JR was the one's like, she was, trained as a martial arts first and not a professional wrestler and whatever. And so he was doing a good job with that analysis. But I just am enjoying her presentation and enjoying her in the ring more and more and more. She's seemed more comfortable, more smooth. I know there was a botch or two, but whatever, like it's fine. But the story at the end, knocking Tony out with a punch and then, knocking Mina out with a kick. And then you have the husband and wife, Jerry Springer dispute. You can see them looking back and forth at each other. Really great stuff on that. Yeah. And so I'm very curious what they do with this Death Riders situation, because like you said, well, first and foremost, anyone going against Darby is going to be heel driven in a sense, because Darby is probably top 2 or 3 baby faces in all of AEW, ever since day one. And so now that he's going to have kind of the final boss, the final say, or the final person to, beat Pac, because Pac is 2-0, and then maybe Darby can finally move on with the Death Riders, and then they can kind of figure out what's going on with the Death Riders, because I think until you really step away from the Darby saga, you can't really do too much. I just don't know. I don't know if they're going to split. Are they going to go all babyface or what? Because it's still, how often are they all? When was the last time we saw them all together with Mox? Last time was essentially when he won the belt. Yeah, but that wasn't even everyone. The Pac wasn't there. I don't know what's going to happen.
Full Tilt Deb is torching Marina Shafir, and she's got reason to. She's
not title picture ready, but she's much improved.
We ordered a cameo from her for a certain birthday boy.
Yeah,
and,
thank you.
There was mixed reactions to how the amount of effort she put into it, not getting out of bed, but I understand it was meant with the love was there. But think about this. Marina Shafir got a lot of hate early on, and I think it was because they botched her presentation, and I don't know how much of it is her like saying, "Hey, I want to do this," because in AEW it's a lot more meritocracy, they have a lot more saying what they want to do. Yeah. That whole Blossom thing where she had the hat, like, "You don't know me, but you know me." I mean, that was terrible. I do think putting her with Nyla was a step in the right direction, because they're like, yeah, she's kind of terrible on promos. Let's put her with Nyla. But if Marina Shafir never had that in AEW and just showed up as part of the Death Riders, ignore, let's say you just delete all of that, delete. If she just started with AEW as part of the Death Riders, I think a lot of people would view her more viciously, or they would see her as a much bigger threat. And I think that's kind of, and any new AEW fans probably seeing her that way and doesn't remember all of that. I do think that Full Tilt Deb is right that she's lucky to have Mox, but Mox has really brought the best out of her. Arguably, everybody on the Death Riders, Mox is enhanced. And so I do think that's fantastic. But what's going to happen with the Death Riders, we'll have to see.
It's a big story, yeah. Like you've talked about before, kind of tweetering with Roddy Strong possibly turning on the conglomeration. So I think Roddy's really fun as a heel. So a lot of questions, a lot of what ifs. One of my favorite moments of the night was this. Well, this was announced first earlier in the day, or a few days ago. And of course, a great jet speed and Jungle Jack versus the Demand. Aha! And so this is just great, because how AEW does such a good job of tying over social stuff, making sure you follow along outside of just what's on TV. And, they strengthen the story more and more and more. But man, when the Young Bucks came out, let's see if we got that Young Bucks picture. Yeah, when you first hear, because we were using that song for our super chat parties for so long, and I missed it, man. I missed it. They did such awesome stuff with the EVP stuff, the Broke Bucks, and now, like I said at the top of the show, like this is like nostalgic, and the tassels and the old music, the money getting sprayed because they're not Broke Bucks anymore. And yes, I popped to FTD. I was like, this is I love the Young Bucks and always have loved them, but this is the style. This is the Young Bucks that I love the most. The tassels, the pyro, the confetti dollar bills, and it doesn't change much of their in-ring stuff. Their in-ring stuff doesn't change much, but their in-ring stuff is always, always, always impressive. These guys, man, just are so great. And to kick off 2026 back with the Tassel Bucks, the OG Young Bucks, is gonna really lead AEW into this is good omen and good sign for 2026. Can't wait. But the match aside, man, people in this match were both of our top performers. Just saying. You'll see our top performers at the end of the night.
We'll get to that. We'll get to this in a second.
Yeah.
But couple words of note. You've got, he went by Jake something until he got in here. But you got I actually think this is a smart pairing, putting Mark Davis with the Jake guy. We'll get to that in a second. But getting back to the Bucks, it feels right. It really feels right. And I was like, it's gonna be the Bucks, and sure enough, as soon as we heard that, in fact, hang on a second. I know we don't have a super chat just yet, but let's just come on.
Yeah.
Super chat party. And they did two of them, and the second one they had the money come out. This was phenomenal.
I thought it was going to be the streamers, because the OG streamers that they would do.
Yeah,
but money is just as good.
The money's great. I gotta say, this to me, this is a night where we had Bandito versus Sammy, which was phenomenal. We had Mox versus Shelton, which was phenomenal, and we had an insane main event.
Yeah,
this was my match of the night, and I'm sure part of it was the endorphins already kicking in from the Bucks being there, and the Bucks reinvent themselves every match. They enhance all their moves. Here's my comment, though, and of course, spoiler alert, you're gonna know who my top performer was. I don't want to say outshine, but to not only keep up with, but to be the star of the trio of the Bucks and Jack Perry. For Jack Perry to stand out like he did. Jack Perry did some Young Bucks type stuff. He did new moves himself with the Young Bucks. I'm sure they all were talking about it, but it's almost like the Young Bucks are taking Jack under their wing, like they kind of already have been, but it's like he was doing Young Buck stuff. He was doing the flippy doos, he was doing incredible moves this entire match. I felt like it just like AEW does with everybody. The Young Bucks allowed Jack Perry to shine instead of it just a super kick party. And the way they were like the 3 kicks, and they let him get the pin. It was such a great, awesome match. Also, Ricochet. Like MJF, Ricochet knows his role. Ricochet knows what he can do, what he's supposed to do, and he knows how to not only be super athletic, he's such a great dance partner, but he can sell, and he's got that he's such a great heel, such a great comeuppance guy, and he lives for it. He makes it so much more enjoyable when he takes a super kick and sells it. This was everything I was wanting. Toa Leona looked like the beast that he is.
This was an incredible moment.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, I don't think I've seen anything like this. And it's not like he was going through 3 jobbers. When sometimes you have a big guy going against 2 jobbers or a 2-on-1, 3-on-1, whatever. Yeah. This was the Young Bucks and Perry. I know they're not the biggest guys, but still to have that on your back, that's got to be at least 550 pounds on your back. 500, almost 600 pounds probably, and just to control it and execute so well was such an impressive spot. But the trios of the Bucks and Perry, do you think this is more that's going to happen, or do you think they're going to be Kenny's going to join the Bucks as a trios, because this trio worked so well? And if Luchasaurus is legit hurt, and they were kind of writing that story on it, what do you think?
I don't think so. I do think we're going to get the Elite. They got to tickle that nostalgia sphincter. They got to go for they got to bring the Elite back.
Right.
However, I think the plan is for Jack to get into a singles program against Ricochet.
Okay,
I think
like
that's where they're, because I think it's the plan is for Jack to go after the what title?
NWA,
The
national championship,
the national rent-a-car title. He have him go after that title, and while the elite get to be the elite and do their thing.
Right.
But yeah, I thought this was fantastic. I thought it was such, and all six of these guys deserve a pay raise if they're not already getting millions and millions of dollars. They were fantastic. But yeah, I can't. I think this was the reaction that Tony Khan may have been wanting to see when the Bucks came back with the baby face. Kenny's coming back tomorrow. The elite's getting back together. What's happening.
Yeah, I would love to, and I think it's the right move. Like I have said over and over and again when I wanted them to be reunited, but I want them to dethrone the trios, to get the trios titles.
Yeah.
Because right now, I guess we'll talk about that at the main event, kind of like that's saga. But after this match, before this match, we saw this Jake something. Enlighten me. Who is he and where is he from? And why should I like him?
Jake something has been he actually used to be a little bit bigger. I believe he was TNA for a while, and he went to Jake something, and he's
new to me,
big in the indies as well. Kind of a hoss, yeah. I mean, he's been an awesome wrestler, but they
look like brothers.
They do. I mean, of course, some of it's the dressing. He didn't always look like that, but they match well. They're giving Bludgeon Brother vibes. Not quite as tall, but like Brody Lee and Eric Rowan vibes, a little bit. So they could be a wrecking crew kind of thing. I think this is something that can really work. And
agreed.
Let's be honest, Mark Davis has needed a tag team partner. Unlike Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis has just needed something. He hadn't found his thing. Granted, AEW is a great place to do that because eventually you do. Tony Storm found her thing. Ricochet really found his thing. Everybody's finding their spot, and I think this is a path towards. I think if you can keep these two guys healthy and not injured, I think we're looking for it. But yeah, Jake's something, which he's now, I think, what's his name in here? Where's that? There it is.
There
we go. Jake Doyle. Yeah, he's going by Jake Doyle. I think he's a great addition to the roster. Yeah, I did want to address that too in a second.
First, you don't succeed with someone for Mark Davis. You add 15 other guys to the Don Callis family and find them some help.
Yeah, exactly. Let me go back to this here. Yeah, so yeah, I thought this is good, and they're kind of like imagine putting these two guys with Lance Archer, as a trio. Just call it the Death Machine, just whatever you want to call it. And of course, after the Bucks,
Davis and Doyle.
Davis and Doyle.
Oh, Doyle rules.
Oh, Doyle. Yeah, that was the other thing. Oh, Doyle rules. Where's the?
I'm excited to see what that's got in store.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then the reveal, of course. Look who's back.
Third debut in AEW since he had his initial one, then another one, now another one. But it's good to see him back. And I mean, there's no secret, and he finally got all the legal stuff out of the way, and it didn't take that long, thankfully. And so Andrade, man, I'm just in awe of what caliber of talent Callis has right now.
Oh, look at
it. It's hard to believe you still have Fletcher, Okada, Takeshita in your group. Yeah. And like, man, if he just had those guys in this photo right there in the bottom right, that's incredible and amazing. And we're seeing El Colon, being featured more finally. He's going to have another match versus Commander on Collision. So he's stacked. He is definitely stacked, and it's going to be, their public enemy number one, especially if the Death Riders are kind of going, splitish. You need, if there's no true heel faction other than, this one, you got to, I guess you're just going to expand that faction, and that's what he's doing. 15
guys in here. Are we missing anybody? I mean, they're counting Don Callis as part of the faction, but yeah, I mean, that's everybody. Trent, Archer, Cage, yeah, I guess Brian Cage. Hopefully, he'll come back soon. Yeah, this is quite the faction. So, think about it. Anybody gets injured, we got like 14 other guys that can run in. And I think it's funny. I think putting Andrade with Don Callis is a smart move because whatever the I think it's a miscommunication thing. I think with Andrade because he does struggle with English. I think whatever it is, it's kind of been kind of a trying to figure out how to present him, and putting him with Don Callis is I think is smart. And I think they are setting up for a Kenny versus Andrade match real soon. I think that's going to be the plan.
Grand Slam or Revolution, yeah. Yep. We'll see what Kenny Omega has in mind for when he's back in Maximum Carnage. And I think, like he mentioned in his promo, was like, if I got to fight my way, one hell of a wrestler indeed. Fight my way to get to be the number one contender, I will. And I think that could start with Andrade. But the thing is, like, anything Callis does, it pretty much touches. It turns into gold. Callis has got that it factor. You know, he's so good on the mic. He was smacking Doyle in the chest and firing him up and doing all this. Like, I love that, and making him seem like he's just this badass. And then the bounty on jet speed. So it's like, man, this is exciting time for the Callis family, even though it is very, very overwhelming with how many people there are.
Yeah.
Another exciting time, though, is the celebration.
Yes.
And new TBS champion, which was one heck of a main event last week. Really, really cool stuff. Was there a lighting issue, or what was up with that to start off? It seemed a little dark during the celebration. Love the shirt. Love the shirt.
I think what happened there, I think that was part of the I think they were planning the lights out match to actually kind of be a lights out match, and it didn't work. I don't think that was supposed to happen.
Right.
I don't that was what they were supposed to do, and I think there was just, but Bob was on top of it. Bob the builder, Bob the technician, the production guy. I'm sure he fixed it. This was interesting. I thought Willow did fantastic with the promo. I thought it was interesting that Stat didn't say much at all. In fact, she didn't even have much to say. And, almost like it almost felt like Willow. I mean, granted, it was her celebration, but it was almost like Willow was the main, was like the leader of the three, where, Stat is supposed to be the champ.
Sure.
So that was kind of interesting. That was kind of a little weird, but how can you not love Willow? Of course, how can you not love Harley Cameron? And I'm top of the world that Stat is the champ as well. I thought it was really funny how Willow said, "Well, we know you're going to come out because this is wrestling." They almost like making fun, like saying the quiet part out loud. Whenever they have these kind of celebrations, what's going to happen. And
if there's a cake, Mercedes is going to be there.
Yeah, if there's cake, Mercedes' face is going in it. And I think this illustrates to me why Mercedes, and I know Deb's going to throw up in her mouth when I say this, because I think we disagree, and I think Courtney disagrees about this as well. And this is, again, coming from someone that loves all four of the women in this photo right now. I love that Mercedes is willing to go there. This photo
is incredible.
Right, exactly. Right here. From coming out with like she's wearing like white, like funeral mourning garb, but it's white, and she's definitely like she's doing like the flipping out thing. She gets in there, and of course she starts screaming and going crazy, but it ends up causing her to go face first into the cake, and then they
tell a cake face plant like no other.
Oh, tremendous. I almost felt the only thing I was going to say that, and I'm not, this is a nitpick, and it's not even a nitpick. It's a detail that I'm just going to kind of put in the little file over here. It got to a point where it was 3-on-1. It almost felt like they were, like, baby faces were ganging up on the heels. Almost like
you feel bad for her.
Yeah, it almost was like the three of them were the heels, and
because she didn't say a word, and she's getting embarrassed and all this, and it's almost like good riddance, of course, because she was been so evil the last year or so, and the Ultima Monet, but Willow was putting her over, and like we've talked about on our show, the fall of Mercedes is going to lead her to becoming an awesome babyface.
Yep,
and this
absolutely.
I think this was a huge
beginning
of that. She still has some belts, and I think they're gonna start. Yes, are you high? We're all gonna start feeling bad for her essentially because she's gonna be getting more cake in her face and more tears and all this. And then ultimately, I feel like she's going to need a friend. And then someone's going to, maybe Harley is going to reach out her hand and help her out or something because she is doing that. And so it's going to come and it's going to be fun. But Mercedes has done such, it's funny. This is a Willow celebration, but we're talking about Mercedes, her actions and how she sold and did all this without even saying a word.
Right.
She didn't say one word. Her body language and everything she did.
Screaming. Yep.
But this set up the trios team that we're seeing. They're going to be performing. They're going to be wrestling on Collision. And then they have a big match on Maximum Carnage versus the Triangle of Madness. And so we're going to see that. And it's a good current feud with those three because there's really no exact challenger one-on-one for Statlander, but this could lead to Tekla and Statlander feud. Then obviously SOS getting a rematch versus that. So that's good booking in my opinion right now. And then Mercedes is going to be soul searching for a little bit.
I do think, and you're absolutely right. I think we're going to start to see the redemption of Mercedes. I also think it was interesting. I do like that Willow made a point to stress that she sees the tag team championships equal. Like she said, I'm gonna, if I have to defend both in one night, so be it. So to me, I like that she said that, even though she probably won't. I do like that. To me, I took that as they're not going to now just put the tag team titles as a backseat because Willow won. That they're going to continue to push this.
Right.
Because that was one of the big fears. Okay, now we've got women's tag team titles. Now what? Are we going to continue to feature them on TV? Or are they going to be just an accessory and moving forward? But I thought the segment was fantastic. I love everybody involved. And I think this is the start of a legit and well-deserved babyface turn for Mercedes Moné.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And she had her run, and it's still like she's such a great heel, but it's going to be fun 180 as we go through the fresh of 2026, and it's going to be, she's like the heel, almost the heel of the year for 2025, and then you could end the year as a babyface of the year.
And well, there's a reason why she and Tony Storm weren't they Sports Illustrated's #1 and #2.
Yep, exactly.
And they just they just well deserved
100%. Main event time, lights out, true lights out. They did turn the lights out, and they were just doing spotlights for a while. Thankfully, I'm glad they turned them back on, but I like the concept of like doing the lights out for for a little bit, but it was a little hard to follow with the spotlight for a second. That aside, entrance, I got to mention this popped me. I was laughing out loud, and I'm like, talk about it earlier in the show of nostalgic stuff. When Hangman came out and took a beer or a swig of the fans' beer, I was like, this is like old Hangman. He used to do that all the time. I know he's done it once in a while the past, months or so, but focus on him. Took a drink, the fan stone cold chugs the rest, and he's all fired up like that. It was I was laughing at that, and I was like, I had to rewatch it. I was like, this part is awesome. He's focused. Hangman doesn't, no facial at all, chugs the beer, hands it back to the fan, and then boom, Swerve. And I'm liking Swerve's theme song more and more and more, only because of Nana and his dancing and his ridiculous.
He's added the new, he's added this now. Yeah,
I love that Nana got so involved in this match.
The coffee spot was fantastic.
Dude, big time, man!
You do not disrespect me.
He's such a good manager, such a good addition to Swerve from day one, and it's getting better and better. And for him to get so involved with this match last night helped out so much. Whether he took the bumps, did the coffee spot, did the dancing, getting the crowd going. Man, he
took a Tazplex from Hook. Yeah.
I got to get some Nana coffee after that spot.
Yeah,
but man, what did you think of this brutal match, man? I mean, the cinder block spots were pretty brutal, and man, especially the last one with Hobbs. And I had to watch it a couple times. I'm like, did his head hit? Because he sold it so good. the staple gun, speaking of selling it, Hobbs took a staple gun below the waist too. His baby, little mini Hobbs had a little issues down there, I'm sure.
He can't go back to the streets now after taking that hit. He can't.
Yeah, Hook got the beating that he deserved for that. So this was I think everyone had good spots in this match overall. And it is so fun and so like, hey, are we dreaming, pinch ourselves that we're getting Hangman and Swerve arm in arm, shoulder and shoulder, back to back, going to war against everyone and anyone so far.
Yeah.
This is hard to believe, the year and the feud that these guys had, and now they're shoulder and shoulder and arms and brothers in arms, and it is awesome. This tag team is incredible, and
so well.
It's got to continue. I hope it continues, please, 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 because this is some great stuff.
They work so well together, and you could tell that they've planned some stuff, like the one where Swerve goes down, bends down, and Hangman uses him as a buckshot lariat.
Oh yeah,
the setup where it's buckshot lariat, then Swerve stomp, what's the other one he has?
The drive-by kick.
Yeah, drive-by kick. The amount, you could tell the amount of trust that Hobbs has with Hangman. I mean, because they had that one, just the one-on-one lights out match no contest match.
Yep.
That putting them through all kinds of stuff. I watched it back. I saw he clearly, Hangman protected him on that cinder block spot. You could tell, but they were just like, I was waiting for I thought he was going to get the spine buster.
Oh gosh, that would have been so brutal on the blocks.
These two work so well together, and the story, there's so much story. If you didn't know the story, you'd be like, wow, these guys are awesome together. But the storyline behind it makes it so much richer. Knowing what these guys went through together, and they're essentially blood brothers at this point. I mean, literally, because they shared each other's blood. But like the spot where they were both being choked back to back, and he flips them. And they get out and they just clean house. I thought that was tremendous. And it was such a great, and I kept thinking, is Kenny going to come out? Is somebody else going to come out? And then I started thinking, no, they need to turn this around and clean house to be the superstars that they are. And they did. And I freaking loved every minute of it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, nailed all the dojo guys real quick.
And the dojo jobbers. One looked like Griff Garrison. I thought for a second, is that Griff?
I know. I thought so too. I was like, but give props to those dojo guys real quick. They did do a good job putting an ass whooping and getting some selling too. So props to them for that one. But the match itself, man, it was such a brutal match. And the ending here, I think we got a photo of that. The ending with their signature hanging someone by the chain.
Well, he is the Hangman.
Hangman signature is so brutal, man. It's just it's a brutal spot, and it's very impactful. Hook got a lot of violence. I love that they neutralized Big Will Hobbs for a while, and then they're just like toying, a shark playing with its food or a lion playing with its food. Those two guys were just like taking shots after Hook, and then finally, like the finishing move right here, just the ultimate one right there, just putting him out, making him tap. But this is like these guys. It's so. Could you imagine like Swerve coming out with some cowboy boots on and some jeans too one time? How funny would that be?
Well,
like,
remember we were predicting, we were thinking at All In that they would have some kind of thing where Hangman riding in, and then Swerve joins them, and
I love their entrances through the crowd, separate sections, both walk down together. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
But like this, these guys, I'm sure that, they still got some unfinished business that with Joe, I'm sure. And I don't know, do you think like they try to take the trios titles? Like, I don't know if they want to add another wrench to this. Like, at what point do you think they're going to be done with the ops, or someone going to intervene with this? Like, you still got a little meat on the bones for some ops stuff, in my opinion, but the trios titles, I think, should be featured / moved on. somehow, whether they do like a
Yeah.
4-way match for the trios or what it may be. But I feel like they gotta do something with those trios titles.
I think there's other trios out there that should go for them. Like I always feel like a title is only as good as the person wearing it, but it also is an enhancement. Like there are people like Tony Storm's one. There are wrestlers now that don't need a title to be compelling. Right now, Swerve and Hangman, they have now positioned themselves above the World Championship roster. Like what I mean, let me clarify what I mean by that. They are the top tier.
Yeah.
And right now they don't need the world title. I'm sure eventually they will, but they don't need the world title right now to have compelling main events. Their main eventers, they can have matches like this. Feud again a little bit more with Samoa Joe. Maybe they go after FTR. Maybe they go. There's a number of ways they can go with them.
Need it, but dude, I'm with you. I'm more drawn to these guys wrestling an awesome feud without any gold involved versus them having gold right now, and that says a lot, like about the talent. And so, like MJF could do his own thing, but these guys, if they're going to be going after and having these awesome matches, awesome chemistry, taking down these big some of their enemies. Or rescuing someone, like that's the draw, like you said, and you're spot on with that. And there are a few like same thing, I guess you could say, any kind of Jet Speed Bucks stuff. They're great, but I feel like they work good when they're in the hunt. Young Bucks work good whether as champs or in the hunt of the champs, even better. So these guys definitely don't need that.
Love it, fantastic. And again, it was tough to pick match of the night, but Tulsa,
these guys could be both these guys could be first overall picks in our draft tomorrow.
Could be. I'm not going to say who I think it's going to be.
I don't know, but I was doing my scouting report. I got my list right here of my first picks and second, or my A list and my B list and my C list of how we're going to be picking. But let's talk about our top performers tonight before we talk about a little bit about the draft tomorrow night, which I'm excited about. Top performers of the night.
I think we all kind of know. I mean, as great as the main event was, and as great as the first couple matches of the night were, great as the whole show was, for me, it was Jack Perry. I feel like if you can shine with like in a Young Bucks match with also Ricochet and how Toa Yona and Bishop Khan have just really grown. Jack Perry was phenomenal. He was the MVP of that match, in my opinion. Right. He was phenomenal. I mean, he got the pin too, but I thought he was doing creative stuff that I'd never seen him do before. And I think a lot of that, I'm sure, was encouraged by the Young Bucks. But keep this going together, keep this chemistry. I'm not mad at your choice because that was another direction I was going. But I thought Jack Perry shined tremendously, and it was fantastic.
100% deserved. And the Young Bucks, I had to, not only because of just how great they are in the ring and how innovative they always are, but they're back. The Bucks are back. And so just that alone, I was already like, you're getting bonus points, but just the performance they did and the chemistry, and then, all the super kicks, and then the true tag team wrestling moves, and then the trios moves, and like, just, it was a complete match by all the guys on the screen here. And that team won, but they weren't standing tall at the end, but it was an awesome match and a great feel-good moment of AEW.
Doesn't Jack Perry look like he's having the time of his life now? I mean, he seems like he's smiling, and it's a genuine smile now. Like where in the past years it seemed like he was kind of bitter, and I don't know how much of that was real, like shoot or work. But after the whole Crimea River stuff,
right?
But now, like he legit seems like he's happy,
right?
I don't know.
I definitely see that because ever since he went heel and came back, I feel like he gained so much more confidence in he's not a jungle boy anymore.
That's it. Yep, that's it right there. Confidence. He's Jungle Jack Perry, and he's got that confidence back that I definitely. I think you're absolutely right. And that he didn't have as Jungle Boy or the scapegoat. He's got that confidence, and he definitely it comes across in everything he does. Yeah, absolutely.
Tomorrow night, one of my favorite nights we do is our draft. We got season 8 draft. We have a couple new things. We're going to be going live at 9. We'll make sure everyone has confirmed so far from our previous drafts, which is great. We're going to have 10 teams once again, but we're dropping the rosters down to 8. Season 8 picks, and we're going to do a +3, but the +3 now is going to be more meaningful because they're actually going to be impactful wrestlers, and it's going to be early on. The +3 is going to be after Grand Slam, so we're going to do that early on, and this is going to go all the way through Dynasty. So we will send you, Stephen will send the link so everyone can whoever wants to join and make their picks live on air, which is great. And once again, we'll do the draft order live on air as well. And I'm excited for it. So it's going to be a fun show. And then following the draft, Mindrunner and I are going to announce our personal picks of our 2025 Dynamite Download Awards. And so I was just kind of going through last year's awards, which I'll mention about. But we're going to be, naming our top babyface, heel, female, male, mic work, tag team, breakout star, and so forth. So we'll be touching base on that. We'll run through it. Depends on how long the draft goes, but it'll just kind of breeze through our awards and go through it, and you guys can share yours, who you think are your top wrestlers of 2025. An awesome year for AEW.
Absolutely, it's gonna be awesome.
Who are you picking first overall?
Your mom. That's what I'm picking. Now, this is what I was gonna say though, is just to clarify, we're picking 8 tomorrow night and then 3 more later, or are we picking 5 tomorrow night and then 3 more later?
8 tomorrow night, 3 more after Grand Slam in February.
Got it. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm excited. And Snake, we're not going to let you win. Crayfish, this was a fluke season for you. You're lucky, but everybody, the belt's coming home to Daddy. This will be my BBB back.
I forgot to, which I'll show it. I'll pop it up tomorrow, but once again, season 1 was SPD, season 2 Mindrunner, then Brian, then Mindrunner, then SPD, then Steven, then Crayfish. So could we have the first 3-time champ in yourself, Mind, or myself, or is someone going to be a 2-time champ? Or are we going to have a first-time champ? So
I think it's about exciting. Time one of the ladies gets this belt here. Right. What's going on? One of the Caboose ladies, turn it around this time.
Right. Maybe one of those will have the first overall pick, and then they'll get to pick the drizzling shits MJF or something, which is not necessarily a good pick because he barely wrestles.
Yeah, he's not necessarily the one, but we'll see you tomorrow night at the draft.
We'll see y'all. Can't wait.
Stop.